You've probably heard about the ketogenic diet. Maybe you've even tried it or you're thinking about trying it.
We're actually big fans of the ketogenic diet. So stay tuned while we talk to you about the best way to approach the diet and how it can work for you. Hi, welcome to Sage Health TV. I'm Dr. Angila Jaeggli. Here is my friend and colleague, Dr. Anastasia Jones.
Hello again.
Today we're going to be talking about the ketogenic diet, which these days is a super hot diet that a ton of people are doing and are interested in. Generally, most people know it for weight loss, and usually people have pretty good results with weight loss. Although, actually, medically, it could be used for many other reasons as well.
Yeah, so the ketogenic diet, like Dr. Jaeggli was saying, is something that's been, very popular the last few years. With good reason, though. People tend to have really, really good results with it. One interesting thing about it, though, it's actually been around for about 90 years. It was developed in the 20s for treatment-resistant epilepsy for children who weren't responding to the medications, and they had really great results with it. So it has been around. The one that people are using for weight loss is a little less extreme,
right?
I would say. But in addition to being used for weight loss, people are also seeing some really great benefits as well. Things like stabilizing blood sugar, reducing insulin, decreasing triglycerides, increasing neurological function, and decreasing inflammation, or just a few.
Right. And sometimes people who are in, have particular conditions might seek it out, like Parkinson's or other sort of neurological conditions, like epilepsy. It's still used for that, or other, even autoimmune, because it's just very anti-inflammatory, and so can work quite well. Yeah,
it's a big benefit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were talking about there are different kinds or approaches for the ketogenic diet, right? So the standard one that people might do when they're seeking out, when they're looking, at the ketogenic diet on Pinterest, or what a lot of people are going to their friends, and so which diet are most people seeing?
So really, it is actually called the standard ketogenic diet, or SKD, and typically that one is about 75% fat, 20% protein, and about 5% carbohydrates, which sounds really, really low because it is. Looking at the standard caloric intake of an average adult, that's about 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates, of net carbohydrates per day. So people really have to watch that.
And so just to be clear, because people might not know, basically net carbs are the total amount of carbs that you might see minus fiber.
Exactly.
And then you end up with your net.
Exactly. Right? So if people are eating, which we'll get to, eating a lot of vegetables, they'll have this huge bowl of veggies and be like, oh my God, there's 40 grams of carbs. But once you minus out, that like 3/4 of that is actually fiber. It changes things. So, and in addition to the standard ketogenic diet, there's variations like targeted, cyclical, the high protein one, and those are people use more specifically for different therapeutic goals, not necessarily weight loss, but maybe bodybuilders might use it, or endurance athletes, different things like that.
Right. Yeah. So when thinking about maybe an ideal person is somebody who is looking to lose weight, possibly, or decrease their inflammation. They have joint pain, something like that as well. I know we were talking recently about somebody that really it worked for. You have a person.
Yeah. I actually have a patient that was on it this past spring, and he came in and was really interested in doing something that did not involve caloric restriction. And I really also prefer to support people in weight loss endeavors that don't involve caloric restriction, so the body doesn't go into some type of a conservation mode. And so anyway, he went on the standard ketogenic diet, and he did it for 10 weeks. Well, really, he did it for about 12 weeks. It took him, in his particular case, a little bit of time to get into ketosis, and we'll talk about what that looks like. But in about 10 weeks, he lost 25 pounds. Most of it was belly fat, which he was really, really happy about. He also reported a great increase in energy. His knee pain, which he'd been struggling with from an old injury, he said improved a lot. And then he also had some eczema. He had this rash on his skin, which totally cleared up when he was on it. Now, I kind of think that's from the removal of the gluten and sugar, and maybe just a
great
bonus,
food allergy, right?
But nonetheless, that happened, and he has been able to maintain that weight loss. Since then, it's just been about 4 months, and he definitely has improved his dietary habits since then and kept the sugar out and kept a lot of the grains out, but is definitely no longer on the straight ketogenic, and he's still doing really well.
And I feel like that's pretty common. A lot of times because people either clean up their diet so well and the carbs really come out, so that includes like the addictive sugar, and then, they're in a habit. So they've created that habit. They're 3 months in, which the research shows 3 months, if you've done something for that amount of time, you're likely to stick with it.
Exactly, yeah. They've set some better habits, and it definitely is one of those things too that, like I said, maybe it takes like a week or two to really kick into it, but people start to see results pretty quickly, and that motivates people to stick with it too, I think.
And that's interesting you mentioned it. So I feel like let's talk about, what does it mean when it like kicks in? What are people looking at?
Okay, so typically, once people get the recommended diet in place, and we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like as well, there's a transition period. So our bodies are mainly run on glucose, our brains and our
sugar.
Our body's sugar, right? So we're always going to burn through sugar first. And then when that is gone, our body has another mechanism in place, which is called gluconeogenesis, where our liver releases stored glycogen, which turns into glucose, and we run on that. So we kind of get to get through those two levels.
Right.
And then we usually will shift into ketosis.
Right.
And in that process, which can take somewhere between, like, for the lucky people, maybe 48 to 72 hours, up to like a week, 7 to 10 days, there's this transition period. And that can be a little challenging for some people. They can have some of the symptoms. It's called the keto flu for some people, where they feel a little bit achy, a little bit spacey, not so great. Their body's probably starting to detox some of the sugar and stuff. People need to really watch their hydration. It actually takes more water molecules to break down and burn fat than it does sugar. Like literally. So it's really important to get extra water, and then getting extra minerals in. Yeah.
Very, very really important. In fact, I think, what we've probably both seen is that when people have keto flu, if you add in more minerals, kind of a very well-rounded complex, that can help negate, as well as B vitamins, because B vitamins are also depleted from a ketogenic style diet, that many times that will take away those symptoms of the keto flu.
It really
along with hydration.
So just making sure that those things are in place even initially can really help offset some of those concerns.
Exactly. Or experiencing that. And people, so it's really common also, I've noticed, and we recommend this too, like checking to see if you're in ketosis by doing urine sticks. Although they're not that accurate, right? So
that's what they say, but I have found that people can consistently see when they're following the diet, they're going to be in ketosis, and when they're not, they come back out. Now, whether they're in low to moderate to high, there's going to be maybe some variation there, or some, it might not be precise, but I still think it's a good indicator. I still encourage people to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's inexpensive, and it's easy to get, and it can help, and it certainly can show if you have ketones.
So we should probably talk a little bit about what the actual diet itself looks like.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay. So I always like to tell people, when you think high fat, low carbs, this is not McDonald's without the bun.
Right.
Okay? We want it to be good quality food.
And actually, so why wouldn't someone want to do McDonald's without the bun? Like, why isn't that ideal?
Well, okay.
We can just say it's inflammatory.
Right. So when we're talking about high fat, we're talking about good quality fats. We're talking about meats that are hormone free, nitrite free, preservative free, free of all that stuff.
Pasture raised, ideally.
Fed.
Higher omega 3s.
Good fats like avocado, nuts, the oils like the MCT oil, which is derived from coconut oil, or grass-fed butter, one of my favorites. And tons of veggies, lots of veggies, low starch veggies, but you want to get that real whole food, good food in there.
Right, absolutely. And there are fruits that you can add on the diet, but they tend to be like dark berries are probably one of the more ideal ones, because they have very little net carbs.
And it's amazing how well you can eat on this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It feels so good. But most people do, as we're talking about, like within 12 weeks, most people take a break after that time.
Yeah.
I mean, there are others that, because maybe it's a medical issue, or they haven't reached a goal and they're going to keep going, that they're going to go longer than that.
Yeah, and you can, but I think everybody has to be looked at on an individual basis and really check in with themselves. How am I feeling? What kind of am I hitting my goals? And if I've hit those goals, is it time to transition into something else? Like, not necessarily back to the original diet, but definitely maintaining more of a lifestyle that's heavier in whole foods, maybe more of a paleo one where you add in some of the carbs, but not simple or refined, and definitely some of the fruit back in if that works for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And many times we also help people to troubleshoot, because sometimes people they're doing everything that they they have a book or something they got online, and the weight loss isn't happening, and many times their fat needs to be adjusted actually, or they're getting more carbs than they actually realize. And so we help people go through that process, walk them through, or they find that they're having a harder time getting through the keto flu symptoms.
Yeah. And so it is definitely, this does not have to be a medically supervised diet, especially for people who do not have chronic or acute health conditions, but it doesn't hurt to work with someone who's trained, experienced, knowledgeable in this, can kind of look at your overall health picture and see where you might need some, might have some unique challenges there, hormonal, etc., and help you kind of line up more of a personalized, specific plan.
Right, exactly. So that's what we do, and we would love to see you, to guide you in this. You can reach us through our website, sagemedclinic.com. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye.